Welcome to GTC's Teaching Tidbits Blackboard Ultra. In this limited series, each episode we will explore a technique, tip, practice, or idea to expand your knowledge of and comfort with using Blackboard Ultra. Today we have joining us our next member of the Curriculum and Instructional Support Center, CISC for short, and whom I like to call the Blackboard guru here at GTC, Lee McMinn. In this episode, Lee is going to walk us through the options for adding content in Blackboard Ultra. Welcome, Lee.
Thanks, Rachel.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to you to share your teaching tidbit.
All right, thank you very much. As Rachel said, we're talking about adding content to a Blackboard Ultra course, and that's pretty straightforward. There's lots of different ways you can add content. The first thing is once you get your course, you may have an empty course, meaning a master shell has not been copied into it. You may be a lead instructor and you can make the copies, or you may want to copy a previous semester. And to do that, you're going to land on the content area, which is the default place you're going to enter a course. And in the top right-hand corner, you'll see these three horizontal dots. And when you click on that, that's going to open up this little menu panel, and you'll see the third option down is copy content. Now, copying content from one course to another is a little backwards in Ultra compared to what you're used to in Original. In Original, we're used to going to the course we want to copy, and we want to push it over to the new course. In Ultra, you do it the other way. You go into the course you want to receive the copy, and you pull the material into it. So luckily with Blackboard Ultra, we have the capabilities now, or we will have by the end or by the beginning of July, to copy not only an entire course, but pieces, parts. And what I mean by that is you could copy just a test, or just a question bank, or just one particular piece of content, instead of having to copy the whole thing. And this is done much, much easier than what you could do in Original. So that's how you would copy content. And I won't go into the details on copying from another course. The next thing that you can do is creating an item. Now, I've zoomed in a little bit. This is still the course content area. You can see at the top left here, I've just zoomed in on this main screen. Now, as you start adding content, that can be a learning module, a folder, and you see the list of these items on the right-hand side. To basically add content, what you're going to do is when you're in as an instructor, you'll see these little plus symbols with a horizontal line going across the screen. And when you put your pointer on that and click on the plus, you'll see the options here for to copy content. This is another way you can copy content. You can upload, that's really to upload a file that you want your students to view. You can pull things from cloud storage like MS OneDrive, Google Drive, other places like that. The content marketplace, we're going to talk about a little bit closer in just a little bit. And then, of course, the content collection, which that's still a little bare to work with in Ultra. When you click Create, you get the pop-up side panel on the right-hand side. And this is where you can choose the different things within Blackboard. Like if you want to create a brand new assignment or a brand new test, or you want to create a learning module, you would choose Create, and then the panel will pop up on the right-hand side, and you would select the appropriate item. Most commonly, it's going to be a learning module or a folder. We encourage you, especially now in Ultra, to use learning modules because of the navigation structure within them and some of the other features you can do with a learning module. For example, you can make them sequenced, which means the student has to start at the beginning and go through that module in the order in which you've put the items in there. And once they touch one item, then the next item they'll be able to go to, and so forth within that learning module. Folders don't have that capability. It's just a generic free-for-all when you drop things in a folder. A document, this can be a little confusing to some, but a document basically is like a page. And on that document, which I'll show you in just a minute, you can add lots of other content, text, files, images, all those types of things. Links, that's to a web page. Learning tools with LTI connection, no one's really going to be using that very often. This is primarily to connect to a publisher that maybe the college we haven't set up for system-wide, and that really shouldn't be happening. So I don't think anyone's going to really be using that. SCORM packages, maybe. That's kind of going out. There's a few in EDCT that might still be using this, and maybe a couple in academics. The big things are going to be tests and assignments. And then at the bottom are discussions and journals. Discussions you can create in multiple places. You can create here or in the discussions area. All right, so for example here, if we choose, these are a snapshot of the different options that you get when you choose different things. So for example, so here on the left-hand side, it says Module 1. That's creating a learning module. And this is the pop-up screen that you're going to get when you choose that. You give it a name here where it says Module 1. That's just what I titled it. You can set the visibility for students. Just so everyone knows, by default, when you create a new item, the visibility is set to hidden. And you'll see that in these other clips that I've shown. So if you want students to be able to see it right away, or right as you create it, you want to change that visibility to either visibility of students, or if you want to set a release condition, you would set that here. You can type a short description. You can see it's limited to 250 characters. And then the advanced sequence is where you can do the forced sequence that I mentioned earlier, where you force students to go from one to the other. They can't skip ahead without seeing each item in there. Folder is very similar to a module, where you see the title folder 1. That's where you would type in the title of whatever you want to call the folder. Not very creative. Again, it's set by default to be hidden from students. And then the description, you have a little bit more character space here, but not that much more. And then of course you click save or cancel, depending on what you wanted to do. The larger area is document. And like I said, this is where you can contain lots of other things. The title at the top, document 1. Anytime you create something new, by default in the title area, Blackboard just says new, whatever it is. So if it's a document, it would say new document and have today's date on it. And it kind of warns you that, hey, go and come and change that title. But you can see on a document or on a page, you can add content. That's just simply a place for you to type text. Now within the text box, you can insert an image. You can insert a link to a YouTube video. You can embed a YouTube video, all those sort of things. The upload from computer, that's the upload of file, like a Word document, a PowerPoint, an Excel spreadsheet, an image, a PDF, anything like that. The great thing that Blackboard Ultra has done now too, whenever you choose to upload a document, it gives you a choice. When you choose that document, you can choose that document to be visible and downloadable. That means there'll be a drop-down arrow beside the name of the document, and the student clicks the drop-down arrow. It will expand that file and let them view it right there within the page. The student doesn't have to download it. So that's really good if they're using a mobile device like the phone. They can actually view the document right there on the device without having to download it and then open it up. The other two options, of course, are download only or view only. So you'll have those options when you choose that. And then the next thing is upload from cloud storage. That's again, if you have a document saved on Google Drive or someplace like that. What this is doing, however, it is copying that file into Blackboard. So if it's in your Google Drive and you choose upload from cloud storage, it's actually copying that document into Blackboard. So you need to be aware of that. If you wanted to leave the file, like say in Google Drive, you would put a link to that file using the link option, create a link instead of create a document. And then that's the last screen that we have. Our option is creating a link. And I gave it a title, just web link. On the title of any of these, especially a document or web link, you would want to title it with an appropriate name that lets the student kind of know what that item is by the name. You can then set the visibility, copy or paste or type in the URL for that link, and then give it a description. The description, again, is optional. It just depends on if the students are really going to know what this link is for. Then, of course, you click Save. So those are the main things that you can deal with this. Now, for those of you who want to see more about how to do a test or an assignment or a discussion board, come watch the tidbits on assessments in Blackboard, and we'll give you more detail on that. Some of the other things is dealing with publisher material, publisher content. Many of our courses use McGraw-Hill, Pearson, Cengage, and other tools like that. I've just taken a picture of this, the Create button. This is, again, where you click the plus in the content area and you see the drop down. Near the bottom is Content Market. Now, this is also where you can put a link in the content area to your Zoom lobby, if you will. But when you choose Content Market, it's going to open up almost full screen, this Content Market window, if you will, inside of your course. And you would scroll through and you would choose the appropriate content market that you wanted to go to. For example, if you were going to connect to McGraw-Hill, all right? I do want to say this about McGraw-Hill, and I'm going to go to the next screen. When you're connecting to McGraw-Hill, you want to be sure you use this McGraw-Hill Connect LTIA. All right, this is the best one to use. And again, I'm not going to go into any detail on the publisher links because you should have that information from your publisher. But you can see at the bottom left corner here is the Zoom meeting. So if you wanted to create a link to your Zoom lobby for that particular course, you would select this Zoom meeting here, and it would create a location in the course content area called Zoom meeting, or you could change that name if you wanted to. And that's what link the students would click on to go into the lobby, where they would see the list of your Zoom meetings and or recordings for that course. And that's pretty much it for the main content loading in Blackboard Ultra. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You just need to know where to click to get yourself started. And I think from there, you'll be able to find it. And if not, if you have any questions, you can always contact me or anyone in CISC, and we'd be more than happy to help you out.
Well, thank you so much, Lee, for sharing all this information today in this teaching tidbit, especially about adding content. I know that will be helpful as we all learn to navigate the new interface with Blackboard Ultra. And as Lee said, you can continue the conversation with him by reaching out to him at lee.mcminn@gvltec.edu. You can also send questions, concerns, etc. to CISC at their department email, cisc@my.gvltec.edu. And that's our teaching tidbit for this episode of Blackboard Ultra, and we'll see you next time.